We are halfway through 2024, and that means we are getting closer to the release of Pokemon Legends ZA. When this game was first announced, I was a little hesitant because I was hoping for something related to more Gen 2 or Gen 5. I was not expecting anything Gen 6. If you watched this video, you would know why. I am not the biggest fan of Gen 6, but I'm hoping Legends can change my mindset on it. But only if it does some of these things that I'm about to mention. Let's start with some of the easier things, like let's bring back the frickin' shiny noise and sparkle. There are a lot of shiny hunters out there whose lives were made so much easier by this little sound and little animation. I feel like it's not too much to ask for. I don't think it's that much coding needed, and I genuinely think it makes the game more playable for more people, like those who are colorblind. They may never be able to spot a shiny from a normal Pokemon, but with the extra sound and extra little sparkle, it was more doable for them. It also helps everyone else in general because look at these two Pokemon right here. One is shiny, one is not. They look the exact freaking same. The only reason you can tell them apart in this picture is because of the added little shiny sparkle. Yeah, if that was gone, no freaking clue. Why would you make people strain their eyes to even try to figure it out? Just help everyone out, make it stand out a bit more. It never should have been taken out in the first place. Oh my god, a shiny subscribe button. Quick, press it! No, don't run away, no! Next, now, I'm like 95% sure this is going to happen regardless, but let's get some new Megas in here. Or better yet, let us find out where Mega Evolution started. Ooh, that would be fun. However, I would totally understand if there's not really any regional variants and few new Pokemon in this game. That would make it pretty similar to the original X and Y games. But that means new Megas need to be introduced. I imagine maybe whichever 3 starters are chosen will probably get a Mega, but hopefully there will be quite more additions as well. In Gen 6, there are 38 different lines, including Sylveon and Legendaries, and Mythicals. Out of those 38, 18 are 2-stage evolutions. That's almost half. And no Gen 6 Pokemon, besides I think just Diancie, have a Mega, which kind of makes sense because, I think Pokemon wanted them to stand out by themselves and not have any new gimmick associated with them. That's why they just kept to older Pokemon. But now, going back and revisiting, I think a lot of Gen 6 Pokemon could get Megas. I think a lot of the 2-stage lines like I was mentioning, such as Pyroar, Go-Goat, Heliolisk, Trevenant, Gourgeist, Pangoro, Malamar, Dragalge, Clawitzer, that's 9 already. That's half of the possible 2-stage lines. And I could genuinely see them making a Mega for each and every one of them. And obviously, it's not limited to 2-stage, because I also think there's potential for them to use 3 or 1-stage lines as well. I just have an inkling that if they're going to make any 4 Gen 6 Pokemon, it'll probably be the 2-stage evolution lines. But a Mega Aegislash would be pretty cool to see. And let's not forget, all other generations can also receive new Megas, depending on what Pokemon are in the game, of course. Except probably not the newest gen, but I can't say that for sure. Now let's circle back to something I had mentioned real quick. The starters. I'm pretty sure the starters in the game will receive a Mega. But which starters is it going to be? Let's start by looking at the previous Legends game, Arceus. Here we got Cyndaquil, Rowlet, and Nashawat, none of which are originally from Sinnoh, where the game was based. Well, Hisui, but you know what I mean. Using this logic, we can count out the Kalos starters of Froakie, Fennekin, and Chespin, and I think we can also roll out the 3 from Legends Arceus as well. And lastly, based solely on the fact that I think each starter will achieve a Mega, I think we can rule out any existing with Mega, which includes Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Trico, Torchic, and Mudkip. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Charizard got a Mega Z iteration because, everyone loves Charizard apparently. But I just really hope it doesn't happen. Anyways, this leaves us with Chikorita, Totodile, Piplup, Chimchar, Turtwig, Tepig, Snivy, Litten, Popplio, Scorbunny, Grookey, Sobble, Fuecoco, Sprigatito, and Quaxly. And like I mentioned previously, I think it's safe to say they won't include the newest starters, so those last 3 can be ruled out. This leaves us with 12 options: 4 grass, 4 water, and 4 fire. If we take another look back at Arceus, we see that all the starters have something to do with the region, more or less. It was based on feudal Japan, so we got archers in Decidueye, samurai in Samurott, and honey badgers. Upon a little further research and the help of Reddit, Typhlosion's Japanese name roughly translates to Shogun, so that's where Cyndaquil comes into play. Now, let's take a look at all the possibilities for ZA with this new information, And given that Kalos is based on France, we can make a few deductions right off the bat. For the grass options, we have Chikorita, Turtwig, Snivy, and Grookey. I think the most likely one here is going to be Snivy. Serperior's design is loosely based off Western royalty, and the person that designed it based it off a manga called The Rose of Versailles, which is pretty French. Lastly, the design on his chest resembles the fleur-de-lis, I hope I said that right, which has long been associated with the French crown. Moving on to the water starters now, I think Piplup fits the best. I mean, Empoleon's name, just look at it. Literally a combination of Emperor and Napoleon, a former French emperor. It is also literally based on Emperor penguins, so if Piplup isn't the option here, I would love to know why and the reasoning behind that. Lastly, we have the fire starter. This one seems to be the toughest choice from what I've seen around the internet. I've seen a lot of people choose Blaziken, but with my criteria of already having a Mega, this leaves the top option as Scorbunny. Cinderace is known as a soccer or football player. FIFA, the International Federation of Association Football, was founded in France, and the acronym is actually French, but I'm not going to try to butcher that. France also won the World Cup in 2018 and were runners-up in the last World Cup in 2022, and are one of only 6 countries with more than one World Cup win. But maybe just associating a country with soccer, football, isn't the greatest way to deduce a starter, but it's all I got, and none of the others really make any sense to me, but, I mean, what do I know? This is all just speculation anyway. So yeah, I think the starters are going to be Snivy, Piplup, and Scorbunny. What do you guys think? My next big ask shouldn't really be that big, in my opinion, but it's to tie up all the loose ends that Kalos left in X and Y. Now, I think a Pokemon Z game would have answered a lot of these questions, but since that never came to fruition, I think it's got to be answered all in this game. What loose ends, might you be asking? Well, let's take a look. We have the Ghost Girl, the Power Plant, the Weird Sign in the train station, the Scary House on Route 14, and the Anastar Sundial. So many of these storylines I think could be quests in Legends, and I would be all for it. And if you're unfamiliar with any of these, let me explain. And let me just preface, a couple of these take place in Lumio City, which I believe is going to be the main area in Legends ZA if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, in Lumio City's Fighting Dojo, going to the second floor presents you with a small cutscene of a Hex Maniac, aka Ghost Girl, suddenly appearing behind you saying, "No, you're not the one," before she literally just floats away. Not walk, floats, or glides. I don't know, it was creepy. And nothing more ever came of that. Give me the backstory, please. Please. I need it. Speaking of creepy stuff, if you go into Lumio Station, there's a message hidden behind a sign there, and it reads, "I'm gonna go for help. Wait in the usual place." And oddly enough, if you talk to the boy standing near the sign, he says, "It should be someplace right around here, right?" What? What does that mean? Who left that there? Why do they need help? What's the usual place? How does this boy not know where he's supposed to be? Give me the details. This would be absolutely fascinating to uncover in ZA while the station is presumably being built. I'm not sure on that, but I think it'd be pretty cool regardless. Another one of the more popular loose ends is that on Route 13, there's a power plant. It uses solar energy converted to electricity to power Lumio City. Team Flare takes it over to harness the energy for their own purposes, and to get into the plant, there's only one door that opens. However, there are multiple other doors that you can never open no matter what you do. Many speculate that these doors are supposed to hide legendaries or mythicals behind them. For instance, Volcanion, the steam Pokemon, probably would have been within one of these doors, to generate steam rather than use the solar energy. But what if that door was there before the construction of Lumiose? What if, for a quest, you actually had to go in and find Volcanion yourself, and then, I don't know, maybe something bad happens? Maybe that's the reason the door never gets opened again. Maybe there's a devastating event. It might go along with all the other weird, creepy horror stuff in this game. I just hope something comes of it. Regardless of what it is, I just want to know at least something about this weird, random door. Moving away from Lumio City now, if we go up to Route 14 of Kalos, you find a random house, and inside there's a man who will tell you a haunted story. It goes like this. "It was a dark and stormy night, many years ago. Lost, I arrived at this house and went inside. The lights would not turn on, so I fearfully looked around the house. Eventually, I made my way to the kitchen. There was no sign of anyone being there. I found the fridge, and when I opened it, a faint light leaked out. I could finally make out my surroundings, and I saw a faint outline of a man huddling in the corner of the room. I tried to tell him that I was lost and I was hoping he'd let me stay until morning, but when I approached him, the man suddenly screamed, 'Stay back!' I apologized and continued to plead my case. 'Please, can't you help me? I'm not talking to you,' he shouted. I looked at the man in surprise. When I did this, the man asked me, Can't you see them? Behind you. A horde of faceless men. And that's it. That's the whole story. No other dialogue, really. He just wants you to tip him for the story. And your decision doesn't even affect anything. You just get scammed out of it. But what if that story was true and we got to see the origin of it? Maybe the Ghost Girl's involved. Maybe it's the train station. Who knows? Honestly, I bet you Game Freak doesn't even know. But I would 100% love to find out about it. And the last loose end, if you can call it that, involves the Anastar Sundial. This thing apparently just fell from outer space one day. It radiates an energy similar to that of Mega Evolution, which is most likely why Megas are so prevalent in the region. But that's really all the information we have on it. It's just a giant crystal. Let's try to tie this to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Remember Deoxys? Yeah, this guy? He's also from outer space, and if you squint a bit, I think the gem in his chest could potentially be made of the same crystal. Could Deoxys be the reason that Megas made their way to Hoenn? No clue. But I do remember in the post-game of ORAS, Zinnia mentioned something about an alternate universe where Megas don't exist and would be destroyed by the ultimate weapon. So, who knows what's truly happening in the Pokeverse, but let's be honest. They're in Hoenn probably just because they wanted to make more Megas and needed an excuse to do so. I'm not really complaining, but all this talk is really making me want to replay Gen 6. Anyways, next, just a couple of quick points. Please, no more battle styles. I really wasn't a fan of the strong and agile styles, and I thought it was the worst feature of the game. It just seemed pretty unnecessary to me. However, I do welcome more new Pokeballs. The Jet Ball and Gigaton Ball were awesome, and to go along with this, the catching mechanic was incredible in this game. Please don't take that out. Definitely some of the most fun I've had in a Pokemon game in a while. And my last point here is just don't try to do too much. And if you do, make sure it's polished and ready. Make various little improvements and whatnot, but please don't go overboard. We don't need more frame rate issues like Scarlet and Violet. Just make sure it's ready and working perfectly before release. That is all I'm asking, and that shouldn't even be a thing that anyone has to ask. How do you mess up that bad? And then never even bother fixing it? It just frustrates me, and I don't want to go on another tangent about it, but yeah. Just don't go overboard, please. You already have a stellar Legends game that I think a lot of people enjoyed, and you don't need to change that much from it. So yeah, these are what I really hope for in the new Legends game. But the toughest part about all this is it's just speculation. Since we only have one previous Legends game to go on, we really don't have any patterns to build off of yet. For all we know, they could use the exact same 3 starters, the same battle mechanics, the same alpha Pokemon fights, etc. We really don't know anything, but that's kind of the fun part about it. We get to find out together, and we get to see how good of a game, how bad of a game, maybe new Megas, new Pokemon. I don't know, I'm excited for it. 2025 cannot come soon enough. And if you made it this far, I appreciate it. Please consider liking and subscribing to my channel for more Pokemon content. I'm working towards 1,000 subs, and any little bit helps. Trust me. But that's all I have for you now, so until next time, have a great one.